Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to do my Q&A video here and answer some questions for the finale here that is airing tomorrow. And so make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all of my Walking Dead content like this. But let's actually get into the very first question here. Q&A. Do you think Fede will have a redemption arc and help get Justina, or do you think he's going to be a villain? I really wish he didn't become a villain in the first place. I think that he is likely going to have some sort of redemption arc in some way because it doesn't feel like he's necessarily a villain. Like, I know a lot of what he was doing in that episode, like, it seemed like maybe he was a villain. Like, I don't know if he actually tried to poison Roberto. I don't know what that was about, if that was just a lie. Like, I'm kind of confused on how a lot of that was worded. Like, I know that Roberto got really sick right away, but like, I don't know if that was him that did that, or if it was just like the fever that he had. And so, Antonio just kind of went into this whole thing of like, oh, he tried to do this just to sort of set up, a situation like that to get himself in trouble. And then Carol was able to leave with Roberto, right? So I don't know. I think that there's definitely things that he's doing as a leader that I think a lot of people can disagree with. But to call him a villain, I just don't know. I think characters can be very complex and have a lot of issues there. He's a character that seems like he's going to be redeemed. I don't think he's going to be just a villain unless somehow he takes over as the new king or something like that. Like, that place there, Alcazar, they're going to be the villains likely of season 4. I don't think it's going to end in season 3 here. So I do think that season 4, there's going to be a big build up there. And I think that Fede will be a big part of all of that. I don't see the character dying in season 3. So I guess to answer your question, I don't see the character becoming a villain. I guess he probably will have some sort of redemption arc, most likely in season 4. And then the character probably will die, I'm assuming. Q&A, out of all the new characters in the Spain arc, Antonio is definitely my favorite character so far, and his backstory in episode 6 solidified that for me. He and Fede are giving me Rick and Shane vibes. Do you see Antonio making out of the season or the entire series, or do you think he's a goner and that his death is going to push Carol into the mindset Daryl is in now? I think it would be cool if maybe he didn't die and maybe just went back to America with Daryl and Carol. I think that'd be pretty awesome. I do, really get the Rick and Shane vibes though. That makes a lot of sense to me. Like, they were friends before. Like, Antonio was basically Rick and Fede is Shane, right? So I do wonder if they will do very similar storylines for those characters. Because you're right, the similarities are there between Rick and Shane. So I think that out of all the characters that we learned of, I guess, this season, my favorite character would probably be Fede because of how complex he is. Like, I just believe he's not going to be a villain. I think that if he was a villain just like outright, then he's not that interesting. I think he would just be kind of boring. But I think because he's doing such horrible things here, but you can see the reasons for why he's doing these things here. And a lot of that, like that complexity there in the writing, he becomes a really interesting character. And I think, I hope that he does have a redemption arc in season 4. It'd be really cool. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But in terms of, do I think Antonio will make it out of this entire series? I do. I actually think that he's going to survive, most likely. Q&A, if I remember correctly, some or most reviewers said the finale will have mixed opinions. What are your predictions for the finale? From what I remember about the finale's, I guess, reviews and whatnot, it was very like, it was a really awesome finale. I think episode 5 and episode 7 and the premiere were like the best episodes of the season. But I think it was more, at least from what I remember, it was the ending of the episode where you might roll your eyes or something like that. So to me, I think it's because it's a cliffhanger. So there will be some type of conclusion, I think, with the story. I'm assuming that Justina is going to be saved and all of that. But then after, there likely will be some type of cliffhanger where I think a lot of people might not like the cliffhanger necessarily. Or maybe there's, like for me, I'm kind of expecting a cliffhanger. So my expectations for this episode is that they're going to save Justina, most likely. Roberto might be gone, but they're going to save Justina. We'll see what happens, I guess, with the story. Something's going to happen where it ends on a cliffhanger because it's not the final season. Season 4 is where it's going to get really interesting. Like, that's where everything is coming to an end. So that's kind of how I see it going, to be honest. I think that it'll be interesting to see how they set up the villains for season 4, or does it end? This season's going to set up a lot of season 4. It's setting up the very last part of the story here in Europe. So that's kind of how I'm viewing the finale here. So in terms of the mixed opinions, I guess I didn't really see much mixed opinions about the finale. Mostly, honestly, at least from what I've seen, it was just the ending. And I'm assuming it's because it's a cliffhanger kind of thing, or Codron shows up, right? Like, I do think that he's likely going to be there in the finale. Q&A, how would you rate the seasons of Daryl Dixon so far? Obviously, we haven't seen the finale, but personally, I think season 3 might be the best so far. It's kind of hard for me to say until I watch the finale, because season 1 and season 3 are very close for me. I think most of us can agree that season 2 is probably the worst season for sure. Although I have seen a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but there has been, I guess some opinions out there that season 2 was the best season. So I can't remember who the reviewer was, but someone said that season 3 was really awful and that season 2 was the best. And I think after watching 6 episodes of 7, I'm just like, what? Because this has been probably the best season. And I do like a lot of what season 3 has given us. It has felt more like The Walking Dead than I would say season 1 was. But when I look back to season 1, the thing that I liked about that season was the variant walkers. It was so exciting to see that for the first time, learning about how Daryl got to France, or like some of the stuff there. There was a lot of really interesting stuff. I think Daryl as a character is really great on his own. Like, it has nothing to do with Carol. I love Carol as a character. But when you look at season 1, it was just a really different story, where it was like one character surviving on his own kind of thing. And it felt a lot like Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead, where it was just him and then he met all these characters, right? It felt very similar to that. I think that when you have one character on their own and their own spinoff, it almost works a little bit better, and you have to have a character that is really great at surviving. And, and I think Daryl is very similar to Rick in that sense, but I think that, in terms of rating it, I could see season 3 being the best season for sure, but I would have to really watch the finale. I think I could honestly rank the seasons afterwards. I really do think the best season is probably going to be season 4, unless they mess it up somehow. But I think because it's the ending, Daryl and Carol are going to be, back home and all of that, most likely anyways. I think that it makes sense that season 4 might actually be the best one, and then second might be season 3, then season 1, and then the last one would probably be season 2. Q&A, if you had to say right now, what do you think the plot will be for season 4? I think, based off of, again, I haven't seen any footage or anything for the final season, I haven't even watched the finale. I think that, like the finale of season 3, I think the plot is going to be the king, like potentially the real king or the actual king will be there. I think King Torres, or soon to be King Torres, maybe dies in the finale here. And it's really because the character hasn't had a lot of lines, even though the character does seem really interesting. I feel like the character is just kind of there because I don't really know, unless there's, again, set up for season 4, but I think the character might die here. And then the actual king will be really upset about the whole situation, and then we'll sort of deal with that in season 4. And then I think Daryl and Carol are going to try to find a way home. I think their boat will get probably burnt down or something like that here in the finale, and then in the final season they'll have to find another way to get back home. It's going to be 8 episodes. I think that they'll probably explore a lot more stuff with Carol and Antonio. I think if Roberto dies in this finale, then Antonio will have to, obviously deal with losing his son. And then Carol, obviously, she lost Sophia. So, the build to relate there. I think Codron's likely going to show up. And so how does he fit into this whole story in terms of the characters trying to make it back to America? I think there's going to be a lot of excitement there. And yeah, it's just going to build to the very end of all of this here. And the characters will likely find a way back home. Are the CRM involved? We'll have to wait and see. But that's kind of my prediction as to how a lot of season 4 is going to go. Q&A, how do you think Daryl will react to Carol and Antonio after he lost Isabel? I don't think he's really going to care, to be honest. I think that maybe he's already kind of expecting it. I really feel like it's just going to be like, I don't even know if he's really going to acknowledge it. Maybe he'll get more protective and sort of say certain things to Antonio, but like, I don't really know if that's going to be a thing, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to think of the last time that really, because the thing is, like, he trusts Antonio, right? Like, Daryl knows that Antonio's a good person. So he's not going to get that crazy about the whole thing. Like, I'm thinking back to season 8, I think, or 7, when some of the stuff was happening there. I think it was season 8 when Daryl said all that stuff to, I think, some of the people from the kingdom about, like, you have to make sure that, like, if anything happens to her, like, you're done kind of thing. I think at that point, Daryl didn't trust any of those people there. So to me, I think Daryl's not going to really care, to be honest. Q&A, do you think Daryl and Carol could run into Codron in Barcelona? And would you like to see a backstory on Okafor, like another Tales of the Walking Dead episode? So first of all, on Okafor, oh yeah, I would love that. Okafor was one of the best characters. I mean, there's Isabel, there's Okafor. I'm trying to think of some of the best characters. Like, honestly, Dead City hasn't had a lot of really great characters, like side characters. Because, like, I would say Marshall Armstrong or Pearlie Armstrong, he's a good character, but he's not like a great character. You know, there's Dama, I think, is a good character, but not a great character. Same with the Croat. Like, I would honestly say that they're all really good characters, but not like great, amazing characters that really stand out. I think Okafor, he really stood out. Like, he was a really incredible character. I don't know what it is about the character storyline, but it was just something about that character in that episode that was just like, I really wish that he survived the season and could be in like another spinoff or something. Like, honestly, the character should be around. Like, see, like, he's literally proof that you can actually, if you cast right, and not even necessarily the casting, but if you're just writing really amazing characters and having these amazing stories, like, you can have new characters that could become fan favorites. Like, I think Okafor could be honestly a fan favorite. I mean, I think he kind of is, honestly. He's brought up a lot, and he was just a one episode character. I think Codron is also kind of up there as well, but he's not necessarily there entirely, but he was there in season 1. Like, he was a really interesting character there. I just think that season 2 didn't really give him much to do. So we'll have to wait and see. I do think he's going to be in the finale. So we'll see what that is there. Isabel, again, I think was a really great character, but I mean, she's gone now at this point. So yeah, you know, a backstory I think with Okafor would be really interesting because his backstory is really interesting, right? I think with Daryl and Carol running into Codron in Barcelona, I just don't see it happening because Codron was in the tunnel that was going from France to London, I believe. And so I don't know how that's just going to make a lot of sense. Like, obviously, he's going to have to make it out of the tunnel. Will he end up in Spain somehow? I don't know how far London is from Spain, or like if it makes sense that he would go there. Would he find any proof at all? I'm trying to think of, like, in the premiere, was there anything that they left somewhere where Codron could find it and be like, oh, they're going to Spain? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense because they weren't going there. They were going to America. So I don't know how that's going to make sense at all to have Codron there. I don't know if it's going to be one of those things where maybe he was captured or something, or, you know, like, I think that how they're going to explain this is going to be really interesting because I don't think it makes too much sense. But again, I don't know the whole area there, or like, yeah. So I will say, in terms of him being in Barcelona, probably not, unless Barcelona is closer to London and whatnot. So I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Yeah, the finale is airing tomorrow, and it's kind of insane that the finale is here for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. I've really enjoyed this season, but honestly, I will say my excitement right now is really for the final season. I think season 4 is going to be really great, and I'm excited to see how this is going to build to all the characters reuniting. If Rick Grimes is going to show up at the end, are they going to announce anything with Rick coming back here in the future? You know, because obviously Andrew Lincoln said that they were in talks and whatnot. So there's a lot of stuff there that I'm just overall so excited about. I really cannot wait to see what's going to happen next. And that's kind of where I'm at. Season 3 has been a lot of fun to watch, but I've really just been waiting for season 4 and waiting for this next chapter here. You know, the spinoffs are going to be ending here. And then, I mean, they're all spinoffs, but like the standalone spinoffs, I guess, with the characters are coming to an end. And then the characters reunited in a different spinoff, obviously, is something that I think a lot of us are really excited about. So, yeah, but anyways, I'll leave it here. Post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.